The problem was you can't ask Aristotle a question.
We're covering today prompts and examples of that use case, as well as two others where AI is already transforming how companies work. I'm Dino, and my company helps enterprises with AI and other emerging technologies. Tens of millions of dollars helping several hundred brands. So let's start with Steve Jobs' use case. In 1983, Steve Jobs imagined asking questions to great thinkers of the past, such as Aristotle.
I think as we look towards the next 50 to 100 years, if we really can come up with these machines that can capture an underlying spirit or an underlying set of principles or an underlying way of looking at the world, then maybe someday after the person's dead and gone, we can ask this machine, hey, what would Aristotle have said? What about this? And maybe we won't get the right answer, but maybe we will. And that's really exciting to me.
Which historical or famous figure would you love feedback from on your next proposal, email, or even idea? Before we demo that, it's important to remember not every challenge we face in business requires something as lofty as Aristotle. Sometimes it's as simple and frustrating as cleaning up messy paperwork. As Stacey Popham, VP of R&D at Conagra, explains.
You get all the documents back and inevitably, there's blanks and there's things that are typed wrong and there's things that just don't make any sense. So I think even in that first step of collecting all this documentation, like I imagine a world where AI could just scan everything before anyone on any team even has to look at it and identify all of that. So I definitely think already at that step, there's opportunity for AI.
To do this on a one-off basis, you can simply upload a complete contract, invoice, or supplier form that you know is correct into ChatGPT, Copilot, or other tool, and along with it, upload the new one that you want to check. And once you have both of them in there, you can just use this prompt. Scan the new document for missing fields, incorrect numbers, and entries that don't make sense. By comparing it to the complete version, return a clean checklist of issues to fix. Enter. Instead of you reviewing the files line by line, AI flags the errors instantly before you even open the file. Now, this is something that I would not expect AI to be 100% perfect with, but as a first pass that gets you 90% of the way there, it is helpful. Now let's get back to Steve Jobs.
Maybe someday we can ask this machine, hey, what would Aristotle have said? What about this? And maybe we won't get the right answer, but maybe we will. And that's really exciting to me.
This is something we can do today with ChatGPT with a prompt as simple as, for your problem statement, such as my company can't stand out in a crowded market. You are Steve Jobs. What is your response? We could demo this, but before we do that, we thought, why not first fulfill Steve Jobs' wish? What is a question Steve Jobs would ask Aristotle? How would Aristotle reply back? Write it as a dialogue between the two. And then we can take this a step further and use AI to visualize this conversation. Here it is.
The world is changing fast, and people often fear change. How do you think about teaching society to embrace new ideas without fear?
Fear comes from ignorance. The cure is education and experience. People must be shown how a new tool expands what they already value: family, creativity, health, knowledge. Do not sell them technology. Invite them into a larger story of who they can become. But tell me, Steve, what story do you want humanity to step into?
At Apple, we believe technology at its best feels inevitable, like it was always meant to be that way. Design is the bridge between mere utility and human delight.
Pretty interesting, right? Before we finish with Steve Jobs, let's think back to AI acting as a tireless assistant that scans and corrects information. What happens when you scale that idea up? What if, instead of just one assistant, you built an entire team of AI agents running a business? That's exactly what Professor Mohan Sawhney imagines, a zero-person investment firm.
For example, I could visualize, even within the next few years, an investment firm that consists entirely of agents, right? And we're doing, by the way, we have algorithmic trading today. But now we can make that into an organization structure where you have agents doing the trading, agents doing clearing, agents doing the reserves, agents doing the financial reporting, and then a supervisory agent that is supervising. So I can build a whole agentic organization that's essentially a zero-person investment firm.
But what is an agent and how are these more complex systems built? My book, Do More with Less, covers this in more detail. You can get a summary at domorewithless.now. But the way to think about this is as a set of prompts that are running in parallel and always running. So let me show you a stepping stone for how this could work. I have here 3 ChatGPT windows. The first window could represent a stock research agent with a prompt such as this. Scan today's news for mentions of Microsoft, summarize risks and opportunities in bullet points, and output as a buy, hold, sell recommendation with confidence level. Then I have a reconciliation agent, which has this prompt: reconcile these transactions, flag missing or mismatched amounts, output a table of unresolved items. And then I have a portfolio update agent, which is summarize today's portfolio performance, highlight top 3 gainers, losers, and draft an email update I can send to stakeholders. So these agents are essentially running in parallel and running all the time. So here in ChatGPT, you can just put these in one at a time and you have to punch things in yourself and make them work. But in more sophisticated systems, you can imagine these prompts are running in the background, running constantly with slightly changing variables and starting up and stopping as and when they are needed. And then not only that the outputs of these systems and these agents are being funneled to each other. So you basically have these constantly running prompts that are channeling information to each other to do little bits of work. And that is essentially the idea of agents. There are a world of agent building applications out there. It's all the rage in Silicon Valley right now. We ourselves are building something that's designed a little bit more for business users. So let us know if you're interested in this. It's for things like scanning for prices, competitive intelligence, regulatory monitoring, really real things that business leaders care about. We saw how AI is already transforming the grunt work of reviewing documents, and we exposed a future where whole organizations could be staffed by agents, from research to reconciliation to reporting. Now let's get to that demo. Which historical or famous figure would you love feedback from on your next proposal, email, or ideas? Just to make the difference clear, first we're going to put this in without mentioning Steve Jobs. My company can't stand out in a crowded market. And off ChatGPT goes. And in the meanwhile, we're going to try this again, except this time we're going to tell ChatGPT that you are Steve Jobs. What is your response? On the left with ChatGPT, we see the standard formatting and bullet points and the standard kind of answers it gives. On the right, ChatGPT, acting as Steve Jobs, says, stop trying to stand out by doing more of what everyone else is doing. Think different. And don't start with the market, start with the soul. Try this out with your own work challenges with your favorite historical and expert figures. I wonder if it will help you reimagine how you work. Isn't this incredible? If you agree, hit like, subscribe, and share with someone in your company who really needs to see what's possible. If you want to see how I've used AI to reimagine my work, check out this video. So what did you think? Did ChatGPT capture Steve Jobs' underlying spirit, principles, and his way of looking at the world?
My hope is that in our lifetimes, we can make a tool of a new kind, of an interactive kind. And so my hope is someday, when the next Aristotle is alive, we can capture the underlying worldview of that Aristotle in a computer. And someday, some student will be able to not only read the words Aristotle wrote, but ask Aristotle a question and get an answer. And that's what I hope that we can do.